Xerox, yes, the printer company, hands one of the greatest inventions in computing history to Apple. Imagine having one of the greatest inventions of the 20th century in your hands and giving it away because you didn't understand what you were holding. Xerox did just that with the Xerox Alto. The Xerox Alto was an experimental computer from 1973, created at Xerox's research center. The Alto was way ahead of its time. It was the first modern desktop PC as we recognize them today. It had a mouse, windows, file managers, and could copy and paste, delete and move files. It had icons, menus, graphics, and even a local area network that connected all the computers together. The idea was to mimic the office desk but on a screen. A paperless office of the future, absolutely revolutionary for 1973.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You come into your office, grab a cup of coffee,
Morning, Fred.
and a Xerox machine presents your morning mail on a screen.
What's the mail this morning? This one looks interesting. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to need a couple of copies of this.
Push a button, and the words and images you see on the screen appear on paper.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Fred. Now, Fred, I think everybody on the routing list should see this.
Push another button, and the information is sent electronically to similar units around the corner or around the world. This is an experimental office system. It's in use now at the Xerox Research Center in Palo Alto, California. Soon, Xerox systems like this will help you manage your most precious resource, information.
Anything else? Flowers. Well, what flowers? My anniversary. I forgot.
What the Xerox Alto was demonstrating was the first graphical user interface, or GUI, in a desktop computer. For those of you not familiar with this time in computing technology, this is how a typical computer from the late 1970s looked and functioned.
So, do I press play?
Not yet. First, you have to tell the computer to copy the program that's on the cassette into its own storage area or memory.
How do I do that?
Just type load, L-O-A-D.
Oh.
You've now finished your message, so you need to say over to you to the computer by pressing the return key. On other computers, you'll see a key marked enter, and that also means over to you.
Oh, here it is. Return means over to you.
Before GUIs, to do absolutely anything on a computer, you needed to type commands in lines of text. If you mistyped anything, that was too bad. The computer would just spit out an error saying it didn't understand. Pointing and clicking on a graphical object was a foreign idea. Thousands of Xerox Altos were built at the research center, but never sold, only used heavily in Xerox offices and at a few universities. The Xerox upper management did not understand what they had. The managers just couldn't see the vision of what the computer of the future could be. But a man named Steve Jobs did know what the future of the computer could be, and Xerox handed it straight to him. Here's how it went down. Xerox at the time needed a way to make their experimental technologies, like the Alto, cheaper. They saw Apple pumping out their Apple IIs for a cheap price. So in 1979, they invited Steve Jobs over to their research institute to see if he could help them reduce the cost of production. The deal saw Xerox gain 1 million shares of Apple stock in exchange for Steve Jobs getting the inside information of everything cool and revolutionary that was going on at the Park Center. Nobody actually checked with the guys at the research center, but the upper business development team signed off on the deal anyway. The following is from Larry Lester, the Xerox Research Center scientist and an eyewitness to when Steve Jobs was handed everything.
So during that demo, Steve again got very excited. He was pacing around the room and occasionally looking at the screen. He was mostly just looking and then reacting and taking it all in and trying to process it. And at one point, he said, "You're still not showing us everything." And the meeting paused, and there were some phone calls, and okay, we're going to show you more. But Jobs was there going, "What is going on here? You're sitting on a gold mine. Why aren't you doing something with this technology? You could change the world." And his buddies who were trying to, arrange a negotiation of some kind were trying to quiet him down. Don't be so excited. But it was really clear to him that we were never really going to do anything with this. The irony was, when they left, we'd still shown them only like 1% of what Park was doing. But it was enough that they got really excited and decided they were going to retarget the Lisa to be something like what they had seen in terms of graphical user interface. They fell in love with the mouse, and that changed everything. And 7 months after that, I was working at Apple.
And within, 10 minutes, it was obvious to me that all computers would work like this someday. Basically, they were copier heads that just had no clue about a computer or what it could do. And so they just grabbed defeat from the greatest victory in the computer industry. Xerox could have owned the entire computer industry today.
The graphical approach to the computer appealed to the human mind because commands were now replaced with movements and objects, so it felt natural. Typing lines of text was now a thing of the past. The ideas from the Alto would heavily influence the Apple Lisa, whose technology trickled down to the Macintosh, which influenced Microsoft Windows, both of which were the eventual ancestors to the manner in which our phones operate today. And the sad thing is Xerox never gets mentioned for any of this.